All right, welcome back to another edition of Cardinal Craze. Today on the show, we're going to be reviewing the Virginia game for next Saturday. That was actually rescheduled from this coming weekend. And today on the show, we have Ian Maloney. Ian, how you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me on the show today. Wait, I did say that right? Oh, looks like we had a freeze. Oh, can you hear me now?
I can.
Oh, okay, good. You're back. All right, sorry. Just having a weird connection right now. All right, so today on the show, we're going to be previewing the Virginia game for next Saturday at 3:30. I believe it's going to be on the ACC network. All right, so for the most part, Ian, how are you doing up there in Pennsylvania?
I'm doing good. Unfortunately, we lost a tough playoff game Friday. We shouldn't have, so that's a little rough.
Oh, you did? Well, that's unfortunate to hear. Now, so you are from well, for the most part, you are from Belvern, Pennsylvania. What's the situation up there? Now, it's a kind of a small town that you set off camera, right?
It's a decently sized town. We're a 4A classification for football, so we're, it's a big football area. People love it. It's kind of a rural town outside of Pittsburgh.
All right. Now, being so close to Pittsburgh, do you normally travel out there and watch maybe the Pittsburgh Panthers? Are you familiar with them?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're the college team around here. A lot of Pitt fans. So I'm kind of, as of right now, I'm in enemy territory somewhat.
Oh, well, the good part is here soon you're going to be actually playing or enrolling early. Kind of stumbled there. So you're going to be enrolling early in January, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you only got a couple months. You don't need to worry about anything. So now, COVID-wise, how is you and your family doing? Is everyone staying safe? Has no one gotten or contracted the virus?
Yeah, everything's going really well. We just took all the precautions that we needed to, and especially with the season, didn't want to put myself or any of my teammates at risk. So just try to stay safe and stay home as much as possible.
All right, that's good to hear. Now, do you actually like to practice alone, or do you practice with maybe a friend? And do you practice at a gym, or is it actually are you actually able to practice at your school?
We practiced as a team all season. We started back in June with guidelines and distancing and being put into different groups. So it was good to be able to have that process and have that last senior season with a bunch of my teammates.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're doing good and you're able to actually practice and actually play some games. So for the most part today, we are going to be actually talking about the Virginia game coming up. And you actually watched it, just like a lot of Louisville fans. We sat down last Saturday and we grudgingly watched that. It was an interesting game, I'll tell you that. It was a back and forth situation. There were a lot of issues that we saw. There was a lot of things that we noticed. And one of the things that we actually had was we had 9 defensive players out. I believe 5 of those were like key players: Monty Montgomery, Yaya Diaby. Let's see, Clark was out, and there was one more, and I'm just stumbling on the name, so I'll have to go back and look at my notes real fast. But for the most part, we had to have a lot of the secondary players step up. We had Zach Edwards step in and he made some good plays. We had Desmond Tell, I believe, was nose tackle, and he actually did a really good job. There was just a lot of lingering issues that we saw because this team is very young. Now, what was your perception on all of the people being out from either being potentially being quarantined because of possible exposure? What was your perception on all that?
I think the guys that stepped in, really did a great job, and you could see the talent that's going to be available in the coming years. There's at certain times maybe just a lack of experience and miscommunication. And that's what helped Virginia Tech, make a few plays here and there. But overall, I think a lot of positives to take away from the game.
Hmm. No, there were a lot of positives and moving forward. I mean, there's going to be a transition period, and this is kind of that transition period in a sense where we're actually going to be a lot better next season. There's going to be a lot more experience. There's going to be a lot more players who are going to be able to step up into some big roles. And I think the coaching staff is maybe looking at doing some possible transfers just to help out some of the lingering issues on at certain positions. Specifically, they may look at potentially bringing some guys in for O-line just because, they need some of that experience. A lot of these guys on O-line may not be coming back. They're not sure what is going to happen. A lot of people have said because of the blanket effect by the NCAA, players will not lose a year. That is very true. Even if they decide to opt out or play, that is great. But the problem is this could affect recruiting if players decide they want to stay another year. Had a whole lot of communication with the NCAA regarding that. From our knowledge, there has been some conversation as how to address the recruiting situation because, as you know, you can only have 85 scholarship players on a team. Now, mind you, if these players have already graduated, they don't necessarily need to be a scholarship player, but you have to look at the fact that they are still living on campus or maybe off campus. They're still going to be eating meals with the team. They're still going to be traveling with the team, staying in hotels, and that still is coming out of the university's pocket. So they would still technically consider them a scholarship player. So one of the things that I kind of want to talk about was Virginia, the Cavaliers. They are kind of right there with Louisville. And as you told me off camera, they're kind of right there in almost quality-wise. Well, what's your perception on all
that? I think that it's going to be a game that, could go either way. I don't see either team really being a blowout. I think it's going to be a close, hard-fought game, and the team that can capitalize early and not make artery-blowing mistakes is going to win the game. So.
All right. So where do you think Louisville has the best, or what position do you think Louisville's in to win this coming Saturday? Do you think this is going to be a blowout situation like, FSU, or do you think this is going to be a hard-fought game almost like Notre Dame?
I think it would be much like Notre Dame, but I do see Louisville, in my opinion, being the bit of a favorite to win this one.
Okay. Now, why would you say that they're a bit of a favorite?
Just the playmakers that we have offensively. A quarterback as Lee Cunningham being able to extend plays and move the pocket, and I think that Virginia's secondary will have a tough time containing the receivers such as Tutu Atwell and players of that nature.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very true. Tutu Atwell is a dynamic player who hopefully does not go off to the NFL draft. We're all hoping, and Javion Hawking doesn't try to opt out for the combine either. Let's hope they all stay his second year. But for the most part, now that UNC game versus Virginia very much won essentially the. I mean, it was 44-41, and they Virginia beat UNC. So it was kind of an interesting game to say the least because let's see, Brianna Armstrong, who's the quarterback for Virginia, he had one interception. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He threw for 208 yards. He attempted 22 passes, completed 12 of those. He averaged about 9.5 yards. He got sacked 3 times during that game. Overall, he's kind of played off and on throughout the season. They've been switching out, trying to find their quarterback, trying to figure out who they are offensively. I think running game is going to be heavy during this game. What's your perception on the quarterback, Brianna Armstrong? I'm just going to say Armstrong. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his first name wrong.
I obviously know he plays. I don't know the other quarterback's name, but I think that we have to be able to prepare for both of them and different skill sets that they might present to the defense. I think that he's a good quarterback. He's not the caliber of some of the quarterbacks we've faced or have to play. But they have the ability to score. Obviously, they put 44 on UNC and 38 on Duke, and even 23 on Clemson. So just being able to keep the offense off the field, the Virginia offense off the field, and keep the ball in our offense's hands and kill the clock was what I think we'll look to do.
All right. Well, hopefully that's what Louisville does going forward. And you're right; they just scored 23 points against Clemson. Clemson won 41-23. Now, it's been an interesting college football season. I'll tell you that. There's been a lot of teams that have come out of the woodwork, shown that they're actually becoming really good teams. It's almost like the other day where Indiana beat Michigan. And I'll tell you, I was very surprised watching an Indiana team defeat the Wolverines, who, they were going into that game, underdogs, obviously.
Yeah.
We even last night saw Notre Dame, who is now officially in the ACC just for this one season, just go into double overtime against Clemson and win. That's shocking.
That was a pretty special game. That one was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And I'm here to tell you that the college football world has been shooken by COVID-19, by this whole 2020 season. It's been one roller coaster of a ride, I'll tell you that. So I did want to kind of get off a little topic about Virginia. I did want to talk about you, Ian. I wanted to kind of talk to you about why did you commit to the University of Louisville? Kind of tell the fans why you decided to take the opportunity to continue your – oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. There's a lot of reasons. I just had a good personal feeling about it, and just the opportunities that Louisville has to offer, both academically and athletically. There wasn't really anything other than positives about the University of Louisville that I liked. So I was just excited about it, and then we had a week off, so I was able to go up and walk around the campus and look around, and I loved it. And that was kind of the deciding point, being able to get there and see everything to make the commitment.
Well, I'm glad that you were actually able to get up there and actually walk around campus and look around. A lot of commits haven't actually had that opportunity, I'll tell you that. And that can be from either scholarship commits or walk-on commits. But for the most part, I'm glad you got up there and you were able to walk around and just kind of just take in all of the campus. All right. So for the most part, we actually have been talking to Chris Morgan and Coach Pete Nocta. What is your perception on both of them?
They've both been amazing through this whole process, and have been, they're amazing. That's really all I can say. They've been great people, both through talking about the university and the football program, and Coach Chris being able to offer life advice through the FCA Foundation and stuff like that was something that has been really, really special.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, a lot of Louisville fans may not be familiar with the FCA. Can you describe it to us as your perception on it?
Well, what I know so far, it's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and anyone from any sports team at the university, I think, is able to join it. I don't really know how that works, but I know that it's one of the largest in the country, which is really, really cool.
Well, that's good to hear. We're still a little bit getting to know a lot of the different programs that they have going on at Louisville, and I'm glad to hear it's one of the largest in the country. Tell us a little about Chris Morgan. Now, we're not too familiar with him either. Is there anything he does? Is it personality? Is he a go-getter kind of personality? Tell us in your perception, who he is.
He definitely seems like a go-getter. I've heard a lot of great things about him through people at the university and different connections. And if you look at Twitter, people said on there, I saw a bunch of tweets saying how grateful the university is to have someone like him. I know he helps with the football team, and he's just a pretty special person all around.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and hopefully we'll be able to get to know Miss Chris Morgan a little bit more as time goes forward, and hopefully we'll be able to bring him on the show at some point and talk to him one on one and do a breakdown of who he is. All right, so you had actually watched the U of L and Virginia Tech game, and we've kind of talked a little bit about it. What were some lingering issues you saw that came out of that game?
Obviously the injuries defensively hurt. Not having some key role players in there. So just maybe the guys behind them, it was just a lack of playing time, I think. I don't think there was anything other than that defensively that really hurt us. There were some big plays made. I did think the running game, Hawkins was able to score on that that long run before the half, and I thought the tables would somewhat turn from that play. Unfortunately, on offense at times. Especially, I mean, it was a game that was easily won or lost. Unfortunately, we did we did lose, but I didn't really think we played terrible. We just missed some opportunities.
All right. One of the things that I noticed that there, like you said, there were a lot of not necessarily bad players, just a lot of inexperienced players and a lot of players who have not seen a lot of, time on the actual field this season. Now, one of the things that I noticed was O-line had a lot of issues. They were getting bullied by Virginia Tech's D-line, and at times, Mikael Cunningham was scrambling to try and figure out what to do. They tried to rely on the running game. As you said, Javion Hawkins, right before the end of the half, had that explosive, 96-yard rushing touchdown?
Yeah, it was crazy, something like that. Mm-hmm.
And everyone just was out of their seats, yelling, screaming. It was a great day. To be a Cards fan at that moment, not the rest of the day was an up and down roller coaster. I'll tell you that. And honestly, my perception on that game, that there's a lot of questions going forward, specifically offensive line, what's going to happen at the end of this year, and whether or not we're actually going to be able to keep a lot of our O-line players are going to want to stay. Now, a lot of people may not realize, or they've already read and figured it out, but the NCAA has allowed this blanket effect to basically allow players to keep a year of eligibility. Now, that means that even if they play, they can still keep that year. And even if they decide to opt out and not play because of safety reasons or not wanting to get sick or risk getting their family sick, they still keep that year of eligibility. And we actually had 3 O-line players who will be graduating. Now, the question is the university going to allow them to stay, or are they going to stay on their own free will? Or maybe they just want to go out, know that they want to go after a career and they have their mind set on going after that. But overall, right now, I think Louisville is kind of looking at the transfer portal. I think they're going to be looking at maybe bringing in some guys who can be impact players immediately and be able to help out the O-line going forward into 2021 season. Now, what's your perception on O-line and how they, essentially how they did during the Virginia Tech game?
Not the best game. I don't think it was terrible, but I think Virginia Tech is talented on both sides of the ball in terms of offensive line and defensive line. If you look at the Florida State game, I mean, we were able to really move the ball at will. So I thought that going into the Virginia Tech game, it would be a similar scenario, but unfortunately, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, the Florida State game, that was a great game. I'll tell you that. That was the highlight of the season, and I am just so nostalgic on looking back on that game. But for the most part, you're right. There were some issues and, I mean, some stuff that we maybe – there was almost like there was this lingering issue going into Virginia Tech game, and I'm not sure what has been the issue going forward. Some people have said it's missed assignments, missed roles, not understanding where you're supposed to be on the field. Yeah, I mean, like during the beginning of the year, I think we saw a lot of those issues with the Miami game. We saw a lot of not knowing where you're supposed to be at, not understanding what your role is, having penalties like personal fouls, roughing the passer, or even just holding. You know, we had calls on both O line, D line, and sometimes even corners. But for the most part, I think it's almost like 2020 needs its own free pass. We just
Yeah.
need to just let the college football season roll out, and then kind of give everyone this break. Because I mean, like I said earlier, we've seen teams that would not normally be on anybody's radar, and they are just shining as bright as they possibly can. And it's just been this utter just shock. I mean, I'm still in shock from the Virginia Tech game. I really thought that going into the third quarter, we had the momentum. We had Javian Hawkins going in for that big touchdown run, and I thought that the momentum would be high, and it almost seemed like it actually dipped off for some reason. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it was just a lack of having some of those guys out there who were big motivators, but defensively, like Scott Satterfield said, you could actually defense had a reason to give an excuse. Did defense when we're shy 9 guys, and a lot of those are starting players. That they have an excuse. And he looked and he said, O-line does not have an excuse. They should not have an excuse whatsoever. And I think that really bothered Scott Satterfield. And I think it bothered everybody, to be quite honest. What do you think they could fix on O-line going into this Virginia game? Now, mind you, it's on the road, and so it's not going to be a home field environment. And I know we had a home field environment going into Virginia Tech game, and we've had quite a few home games so far, and we've only had a handful of road games. What's your perception on how they can fix some of these issues going into Virginia?
I'd just say consistency. A lot of times throughout the Virginia Tech game, we had a few spurts where we'd make the plays and we'd get the protection up front that was needed and create running lanes. And then there were other times where, it was the opposite. So I'd just say consistency and being able to extend drives and keep protection up front on Cunningham in the pocket, giving him time to throw. And obviously he's able to extend plays, which helps us a lot, him being so mobile. But creating running lanes and just being able to move the ball downfield.
All right.
Eat up some clock.
All right. Well, hopefully that's what we do going forward. Now, you said you actually had some notes from the Virginia game. Is there anything you want to cover real fast?
I was just looking. Their starting safeties may not be available, so I think that's something that with the speedy receivers we have, we'll be able to target in the middle of the field. Their big target is 6'7". I don't know how to say his name, but he's a receiver.
He's a receiver.
And
okay.
I think it's his last name's Davis. His first name I don't know how to pronounce, but he'll be back. And they said he's a big target for them, so we have to look to contain him defensively. Other than that, I think some were saying the bye week may have helped them rest up, so I think we can't afford to come out flat. Have to come out and set the tone early.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, no, I'm looking at his name right now. It is Lavelle Davis Jr. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I'm trying all my hardest. Good God, he is 6'7".
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you that is not a receiver. That is my God. That's close to almost 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
See, I would say, now mind you, we have some tall players at Louisville, but just kind of looking at 6'7", only 210 pounds. I just cannot imagine him. I'm going to have to watch some of the previews again and see if I can spot him out and just see how fast he is. Because I tell you, 6'7", I mean, you need to be making strides when you run, just not, small little steps. That.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So overall, you're right. We're gonna have to make holes for the running. I mean, just for Javion, for Hassan. I'm hoping we see a lot more young faces out there, specifically receiver-wise. I know Christian Fitzpatrick enrolled this past year, this year, not past year. And I'm really excited to see what he can do. His brother Dez, I really want to see both of them, probably close to the end. I mean, we're close to the end of the season. I mean, my God, we literally have 3 games. I had to look back there for a minute. I couldn't even remember, to be quite honest. But yeah, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, wrong way. 3 games. Can't see my hand. There we go. 3 games. All right. That's. Oh God, football's almost over, and it feels like we're just now getting into some good football.
Started,
I will say personally, I'm quite glad that the Pac-12 is going to be starting in the spring, so it's not necessarily going to be like the end of college football, and then we'll have to wait, another 8 months until college football starts again. So we'll have this nice maybe 4-month transition period, which will be very nice. Unfortunately, Louisville will not play during that time, so it'll be very interesting to see what teams out west really step up. To be quite honest, I've been watching everybody. I've been watching a lot of different teams, and I'll tell you, this is the year to kind of pay attention, only because there's so many dynamic playmakers out there who get over. Don't get a whole lot of attention because of their team's ranking or where they're at. And I'll tell you, teams like Indiana just shocked me so badly. Beating the Wolverines. My God, Michigan's going to go through another coaching change if this continues.
And something that shocked me is Penn State's off to an 0-3 start. They lost again last night. That was a bit of a shocker. Maryland doesn't look too bad.
They don't.
Overall.
And I mean, Maryland has been. A lot of people have been saying Maryland is that what do you call it? The dark horse. In the Big Ten. And honestly, Penn State should not be doing what they're doing. They have consistent 4 or 5-star recruits. They're almost the Miami of their conference. And if you look at it, Miami gets an insane amount of recruits outside, 4 or 5 stars consistently, yet they're always this flip-flop team. And I don't know. I mean, Penn State's kind of been right there with them. Penn State has – 0-3 to start off your conference. I mean, that's how do you?
Pretty rough.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean that's rough. If you got to look at the season and just all teams in general, this is just the wackiest season I have ever seen in my life.
And obviously, Wisconsin not being able to play, that'll be something to watch for the Big Ten championship, because I didn't know if they announced if they're going to reschedule the games that were canceled. So that's something to watch for in the Big Ten.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, Wisconsin not being able to play, and I think this kind of gives Wisconsin a breather. To be quite honest, I don't think that this is really what's the word for it? So essentially, I feel that Wisconsin is, kind of in the background going, oh, shoot, we can't play. Oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks. They're just thinking to themselves back in their mind, oh, thank God we have another year to recruit and get better. Oh, thank God, and I really am happy college football was actually being played, because, going into this, what was it, 6 months ago, everyone was just like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No one's going to allow this. And, they were a lot of people were actually saying the bubble effect wouldn't work. And I mean, I saw articles, I saw posts, I listened to people talk on YouTube, and they would just talk about, oh, the bubble effect will never work. It'll never work. These players will get sick, and then the families will sue the universities, or someone's going to die. And it's, and everyone just went into this negative kind of perception. And here we are. Schools have figured out how to do the bubble effect correctly, how to keep players contained, what happens if there is a possible outbreak. And I mean, worst case scenario, we go into next season, a vaccine still is not readily available, and we have another college football season, but we know what to do. We know what to expect. We know the staffs and even the university heads and presidents, already know what's going to happen. And they know the budget for how to get testing, what to do, how to keep everyone away, spaced bus trips, flights to schools. And I think that would be a good thing going forward, because we don't have that run around situation where everyone's staring at the NCAA asking, what do we do? And they're going, oh, I don't know. Let's put it to a vote.
Experience at that point to be able to build off this past season that's been a bit crazy.
It really has. But anyways, kind of got way off topic on that. All right. So the last thing we're going to do is I want you to kind of tell me your perception on like the score. I mean, well, what do you think the score is going to be for next Saturday?
I see this ranging from maybe like a 35-28 ball game in that range, 28-21, up in that range. I don't see it getting, but one thing that I could see is similar to the Florida State game. If offense can get rolling early, I think we could get a lot of momentum and maybe pull away. But overall, I do think it'll be a close game, and it'll be fun to watch.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to be fun to watch. And I'll tell you, everyone is, I mean, this whole season has been fun to watch for certain games. Other games, I mean, like that Notre Dame game, that was fun to watch. The Miami game was fun to watch at first.
And I felt we kept the momentum. From the Notre Dame game, we kept the momentum rolling into the Florida State game. And I think a lot of people had high hopes going into the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah, the momentum was there, and you're right. That going into that Florida State game, it was just amazing, and just winning. I mean, a lot of people were expecting the same momentum to transition and trickle over into the Virginia Tech game, and it was there at first, but from what I saw from the ACC camera crew that would slide over and look at the Virginia sidelines, they were pumped up constantly. They were constantly just, keeping each other pumped up and, getting a lot of momentum because of that. And Louisville side, I saw some when they would do the, kind of the cameramen at the ACC network have, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's been a little bit difficult for them to kind of focus in on certain plays. I remember one play, I think it was against, Miami, and the camera crew, I think it was D'Eriq King, had thrown the ball, and the camera crew was still focused on D'Eriq King. And it was like, and you hear everyone go, oh, man, and, we're all just watching TV like, what? What is happening, It's just weird. Camera situation. I have no idea what was happening, and it was just this. I almost saw those similar.
It was a bit odd.
It was, and I saw some of that same situation almost with Virginia Tech, and I was just kind of just thinking to myself, my God, I should have gotten tickets. All right, well, Ian, I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll talk after in the broadcast. For the most part, I just want all the Louisville fans to go to Ian's Twitter, give him a follow, hit him up on Instagram. He is one of the newest Louisville walk-on commits. He is a great dynamic player. I'm excited to see what you're going to do at the university. And for the most part, I'm glad that you were able to come on the show. Tell me your thoughts. Let the fans get to know you a little bit, and tell us what you thought about the Virginia Tech game and your perception on the Virginia game going forward. All right, well, Ian, for the most part, you know what time it is. Go Cards. All right. Have a good one, everyone.